because it seems like you talked about the guys not having fun losing, obviously, but sometimes it looks like they're not having fun winning.
I can promise you we're having fun when we win. I know that 1,000%. There's a difference between having fun and not being satisfied with what the product was on the field, right? The standard, not meeting the standard. Um, and so when you don't meet the standard, you're always constantly going through your mind of, hey, here's what we could have done better. Here's what I could have done better, right? It always starts with you looking at yourself in the mirror. Um, and what's interesting about that is I think that's always going to be a dilemma because once you set a standard, your goal is not to stay at that standard. Your goal is to get a little bit better from that. And so it's always going to be interesting like that. And there was definitely some things that, there were some sloppy things that happened coaching, playing yesterday that need to be better. And so you think about that to yourself like, man, what could have been here? But make no mistake about it. I know our guys are excited to win. We're excited to win a football game. But again, it's that hunger. It's that hunger of wanting to be great and be perfect. But there's got to be a balance, right? There's got to be a balance of having that. Hey, getting the win was the most important thing, and then also that drive to get better after every time you step on the football field, whether that's practice field or the game field.
Go ahead,
Thanks.
Martin, and then Jeff.
Hi, Nick.
Hey,
I was
Martin.
wondering if I could look ahead a little bit. You're obviously going up against the Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon, a guy you know pretty well. Knowing him and knowing his defense as well as you do you think that helps you prepare for facing the Cardinals, and what kind of challenges do they present?
Remember, he knows us too, right? And so there's that, I would say they're doing a good job as far as, their schemes and different things like that. I'm very early, Martin, in my studies there. Obviously, you come here and you work on the kinks that you get to work out from last game, and now we're early in our studies of Arizona. But they're doing some good things scheme-wise. They got some good guys in place there. Buda Baker's a really, really good player. And so there is, hey, we know this in this scenario. Jonathan knows some of the things we know, and we know some of the things he knows about us. So there is going to be a little bit of that. You can't think too much into that. You got to account for it, but not, let it just completely dictate what you're doing offensively. But there's familiarity on both sides, and I think it's almost like we don't. The players aren't as the familiarity of the players is different, but it's almost like a division game in the sense of there's a lot of familiarity on both sides of what's happening.
Go ahead.
How do you make sure things aren't too tense as you go to make the corrections this week?
Yeah, I think again it's a balance of having that opportunity to have fun when you win. When we get back in here, right, we'll put the game to bed and then it's back to business as usual. And then also wanting to play and to play to a standard that we know we're capable of playing. And so nobody on this, because of the guys that we have on this team, nobody's going to be satisfied when you don't play to that standard. And that is, quite frankly, Dave, what I think makes these guys special, right? When they, why is Devontae continuing to get better and better and better? Because he has this inner drive amongst himself that is never satisfied, right? I said something to him yesterday. I'm like, hey, congrats on 1,000 yards. I know I took you out early in that Dallas game in 2021. Looking back at it, I wish I had, and he just wants more, and he wants more, and he wants more. And that's just one guy for an example. I'm just saying him as an example, but there is that balance because you do have to enjoy the wins. The wins in the NFL are hard to come by, and you have to enjoy it and have to have that balance because joy and determination to get better, you can have both. And I think that definitely starts with me, quite frankly, right? And there was moments in that game yesterday where I felt like I was too tense, and that on the sideline, and I need to be better about that. I have to do a better job, and if I'm going to ask the players to do a better job themselves, then I have to do a better job myself. And I definitely felt that yesterday out of myself.
During the game as well.
Yeah, like I said, Zach, I need to be better in those scenarios. You know, when there's some high pressure areas, they got to see me calm. And not tense there. There's a time and place to be, intense, and there's a time and place not to be. And I know that's something that I always have to work on as a head coach. And so that's something I am constantly working on. And so body language, I think, body language, I don't know. I look more at actions than the body language, I guess to say, if that makes sense. I know body language is a type of action, but I look more at the action of the players and the coaches and myself there, as opposed to the body language. Did I answer your question, Zach?
Yeah. Respect to Gannon. In what ways did the way it ended here in Philly with him test your guys' relationship? And what are your early thoughts on having a chance to compete against him this upcoming week?
Yeah, obviously all those questions have been asked and answered, Tim, and I have a great deal of respect for Jonathan and the coach that he is and the person that he is. I'm looking forward to going against him this weekend. And I know the players, you'll have to ask them, but I know the players that I've talked to, feel the same way. He was obviously we didn't finish the job last year, which all of us have the taste in our mouth of like, dang, wish we'd have finished the job. But there were still some special moments, a lot of special moments. I think we can all agree that there was a lot of special moments last year and also in 2021. And Jonathan Gannon was a big part of that. And anytime he thanks me for the opportunity or being here, I always in return thank him, because his service to this team and the special things that we had done while he was the defensive coordinator here was enough payback for me tenfold. And so I value that relationship that I have with him. I'm always rooting for Coach Gannon. Very similar to how I root for Coach Shane, for Coach Steichen. But this will be the week that I will not be rooting for him, obviously.
Go ahead, Jimmy.